Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'm sharing some cards I made using Love from Lizi's Twilight Christmas Special Edition Kit. Lizi recently released 2 different special Christmas kits and also a couple of Christmas paper packs. Now these are all sold individually, they're not part of the monthly subscription. The other kit is called North Pole and I've already shared some cards using that kit. I will add a link to that video at the end of this video and also in the description box if you're watching it over on Rumble. So let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. I'm using a card sketch from Sweet Sunday. This is number 300. One thing I love about both of the Christmas kits, they are full of pattern paper. Each of the kits has 12 sheets of pattern paper in both the 8x8 size and the 6x6 size. So you have a total of 24 sheets of pattern paper. I believe for this card I'm using the 8x8 size. So I have a fun wood grain pattern in the center that has lots of little stars, and then on the outside I'm adding the diagonal stripe blue, white, and gray papers. The kit includes 2 full sheets of peel-offs. There's the white in straight, and there's also a sheet of the silver mirror in the small or mini circles. I love the mini shapes and I use them all the time, so I was excited to see she included the mini circles. I used the white straight peel-off to separate the 2 pattern papers. This kit also includes a ton of decoupage, and these are always so much fun. There's even a sheet of thin foam squares, and they're the perfect thickness. So you could still mail this without paying any additional postage as long as you don't have too many layers. So I have 2 of the pieces for this decoupage wreath that has winter wishes in the center. There are a few other layers, so you could stack this up more, but I decided just to go for the 2 pieces. To finish off the card, I'll add 5 of the mini circle peel-offs in the smallest size. And you do receive a full sheet. I decided to pull out my partial sheets of both of these peel-offs rather than start a brand new sheet. I'm using my reverse tweezers to pick these up. They are very tiny. I love using them for embellishments since they're nice and flat and they won't add any extra dimension. There's also some in a glitter style, and the glitter is all sealed so it won't make a mess. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 1. For card number 2, I'm using a card sketch from OWH. This is number 192. And if you are interested in any of the card sketches I show in this video, I do share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is provided in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For this card, I'm using 3 different pattern papers. My absolute favorite pattern has the trees with all the little blue, silver, and white circles. At the bottom of the card, I have a strip of pattern paper that has lots of Christmas sentiments. And then behind the trees, I do have just a little bit of a snowflake pattern paper. You'll only see the very edge of those snowflakes though. For the strip that goes across the card, I'm using some light blue cardstock, and this is cardstock from my stash. I'm lining the edge with some peel-offs. These are the clear silver mirror peel-offs, and they're not included in the kit. I just need to add a couple small pieces since the very center will be covered up by that tree pattern paper. I'll layer this piece on some blue cardstock. The kit does include 1 sheet of this really nice dark blue cardstock, and I was trying to stretch that color as much as possible. So I did cut out that large rectangle out of the center so I could layer the tree paper. And I filled in that gap with some scrap black cardstock. Before I attach the tree pattern paper, I will add some scrap cardstock pieces where it goes above and below that blue strip of cardstock. And that'll just help keep everything nice and level. I'll adhere it using some liquid adhesive. For the sentiment, I've already stamped this out. This is Merry Christmas, and this is a stamp that's included in the kit. I love the different fonts for that sentiment. So there is my finished card. I decided it didn't really need any extra embellishments since there's all that glitter on those Christmas trees. Moving on to card design number 3. Another favorite pattern paper has all of these lights, this bouquet look in the background. I'm adding a strip of ribbon, and this is included in the kit. I put down some double-sided tape first, and then I'll attach the ribbon. And I do have the ribbon just a little bit wider than the card panel. I'll put some ATG tape on the back and wrap those ends around. And then just to make sure they won't come off, I'm also putting another piece of double-sided tape on the back side. Put more ATG tape on this panel and layer it on some dark blue cardstock. I do end up bringing in extra blue cardstock since the kit only includes the one sheet. It has one alcohol marker friendly white, a silver mirror, and also a dark blue. I do have an unboxing video if you want to see everything that's included in this kit and also the North Pole kit. And I'll add a link in the description box for that. The Sentiment Winter Wishes, this is one of the extras from the decoupage sheet. I decided to pop it up using some foam dimension. And now I'm adding these beautiful holographic snowflake stickers. I love these so much. They are very delicate, so just be careful when you're peeling them off of the background sheet. I'll add 5 snowflakes on the background. These are so fun since the top layer of the snowflake is popped up, but it'll lay completely flat, so you could mail this card easily without paying anything extra for postage. Although I did pop up the Winter Wishes sentiment. I'm putting 3 of the snowflakes in the larger size and 2 of the smaller stars. And for a little extra sparkle, I'm adding some of the mini circle peel-offs. My daughter is always eyeing my craft supplies, especially the card kits, and she told me that I had to leave some extra snowflakes so she could use them. So I did make sure to leave some extras, otherwise I would have used the whole sheet. Now moving on to card design number 4. I'm using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from the Paper Players. It's number 242. I have 2 different pattern papers. I have that snowflake paper for the bottom portion, and then a gray and white pattern with little sprigs and holly and berries on the top. I decided to round the bottom right-hand corner, and I will be layering all of this on some satin silver mirror cardstock. And this is not the cardstock that was included in the kit. I did bring in some of my own. And this is a very inexpensive cardstock, so I didn't feel the need to cut out the center to save for another project. For the 3 banners that go across the card, I have 3 different cardstocks. One's a dark blue, I have this lighter blue color, and the white is some pearlescent cardstock. I always get the add-on pearlescent cardstock bundles with Lizi's kits, and I save all those small pieces, so I had the perfect size for that small white banner at the very bottom. I'm adhering all of those in place using some liquid adhesive. For the blue banner, I am adding a scrap piece of cardstock just at the very right side. And I'll adhere it using some liquid adhesive. For the oval, I pulled out my favorite Christmas tree. There's a couple of decoupage pieces with that tree. Now this piece has the very thin silver glitter frame. You could pop that up, but I did not want to cut teeny tiny pieces of foam to pop it up. So instead I just glued it down directly. So it'll still add that little extra dimension. I will be popping up the tree though with some of the foam tape. Before I attach the background oval piece, I am adding those scrap pieces of cardstock. Since it's going over those 3 different banners, I want to keep it nice and level. I'll adhere it to the card, and I am following this sketch fairly closely. I already have all those foam pieces on the back of the tree, and I'll just attach it. I love this little tree, it's so fun. To finish off the card, I'll add some of the silver glitter gem stickers that are included in the kit. 2 of them in the upper right hand corner and 1 to the left of the tree. Decided not to put a sentiment on the front of this card, I'll just put it on the inside. And I did make 2 different cards using this design. For this second card, I used the pattern paper and an oval die to cut out one of the trees, just layered it on some blue cardstock and stamped the Merry Christmas sentiment. For card design number 5, the card sketch is from MFT. It's number 563. I'm using some pattern paper that looks like snowfall in the background, adding a couple of the clear silver mirror peel-offs to the upper portion. I have the widest width and also the narrowest width. I do like to wrap the ends around the paper just to make sure those peel-offs won't come off later, although I've never had one actually fall off before. Now when I use the moon dust or the glitter style, I don't wrap those behind the back simply because they're a little bit thicker than the other peel-offs and it'll add a little lump on the card. So instead I'll use a craft knife and cut them flush to the edge. For the 3 circles on this card, the Winter Wishes, this is one of the pattern papers. I used a stitch circle die to cut out one of those wreaths. And that was from the 8x8 paper. This is a nice thing about having both sizes. You could easily cut out some of the images from the larger 8x8 size. You could do it from the 6x6 as well, but I feel the 8x8 size worked a little bit better. For the other 2 circles, these are some extras from the decoupage. So they both have a snowflake with a little bit of glitter on them. To finish up the card, I'm adding some more of the mini circle peel-offs, trying to decide where I wanted to place those. I'll also add some glitter to the wreath using a clear glitter brush from scrapbook.com. So there is my finished card, and this is card design number 5. Now moving on to card design number 6. I have a 1.5 inch strip of vellum, and I'll be stamping some of the snowflakes, and these are stamps that are included in the kit. I'm using Catherine Pooler's Juniper Mist color, just stamping these randomly on that sheet of vellum. Just rotating the stamp, and most of those snowflakes will go off of the edge just slightly. Because I stamped on vellum, the ink is very wet, so I'm trying to be careful not to touch any of those snowflakes. I will be heat setting them using some Glossy Clear embossing powder by Love from Lizi. One of the snowflakes I didn't stamp a very good impression, but that's okay, it'll be covered up. So just using my heat gun, making the magic happen. Look at how beautiful those snowflakes look. And now that ink will not smear, although it does curl up that vellum piece quite a bit. I have this beautiful snowflake paper for the background with silver glitter snowflakes. I'll attach the vellum snowflake paper on the left side of the card. It's always tricky to adhere vellum without the adhesive showing. So I'll be using some Love from Lizi peel-offs and putting them along the very edge and then holding it to the card by wrapping that end around the back. I did put some liquid adhesive where I know it'll be covered up. So I'm using the clear silver mirror peel-offs, the widest width. I have it on the very edge of the vellum, and then just wrap that end around the panel. For the piece on the right, I don't need a full strip since most of it will be covered up. So adding just a couple little drops of liquid adhesive on the left side. Try to keep it just underneath the edge of the peel-off. And of course I ran out of tape. I'm layering this panel on some of the satin silver mirror cardstock, and this is cardstock from my stash. I'll put my card front onto a card base. I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but all of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size. So 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. For the image, this is another decoupage piece. It's a larger tree. So I have the background, just glued that piece down directly. I am popping up the other 3 pieces. So I have the next oval and then the tree. And there's also a tiny piece to add the star. So it does end up having 3 different layers. For the sentiment, I've already stamped this out and fussy cut around the sentiment. I love that Merry Christmas. I'll be putting it in the lower left-hand corner. I will add some foam squares just in the areas where it's not on top of the oval. I'll put a drop of liquid adhesive where it will be touching the oval. Then to finish up the card, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to add. Wasn't sure if I wanted some of the glitter gem stickers, but there's already a lot of glitter on this card. I tried some of the mini circles in the silver mirror, changed my mind, pulled out some of the mini circles in white. And I think just that subtle touch in the background was all that was needed. The mini circle peel-offs in white are not included in the kit. It's something you can purchase separately. And there is my finished card. For card design number 7, I have some of the white cardstock that's included in the kit. Just cut down a panel for the card. Then I'll be doing some paint splatter in the background. I have some dark blue paint. I'll start with that. And then next I'll add some pretty metallic gold paint. This is something I have been doing quite a bit lately. It's so easy to add a beautiful background or just a little extra detail by splattering some paint all over the image or just that background. Once all of that paint is dry, I can stamp my sentiment and image. And this stamp set includes my favorite tree. So I decided to stamp that using the Juniper Mist color. I do need to ink up that sentiment and part of that star a few times. This is going to be a very simple card design. I'll be layering it on a scallop rectangle die cut, and then layering that piece on some gold satin mirror cardstock. And I do have some of the gold splatter on that background blue piece, so I must have went outside my little box, but that's okay, it'll be covered up. I do need to trim down this panel. I didn't realize it until I was trying to attach it to my card. Want to make sure I can see some of that blue scallop. And there is my finished card. Very simple, easy to create multiples if you need a lot of the same card. For the second card, I did stamp the sentiment and tree in green ink, but I really prefer it in the blue. Now moving on to card design number 8. The card sketch is from MFT. It's number 557. I love this star decoupage piece with the most wonderful time of the year sentiment. I'm using all of the layers that are included for this piece. So there's 4 different pieces. Just layering all of those pieces together, and they are very easy to line up. So this star I will have go off of the very right side of the card as indicated on the card sketch. We'll put some liquid adhesive on the back. I tried to avoid the very right side tips of the star since it won't be on the card. And I'll let that glue dry just for a moment. For the sentiment, this is one of the decoupage extra pieces, and I will have that flush to the left side. So if I trim the edge off, layer that using some foam dimensional tape. I'll adhere that in the upper left-hand corner. Then I'll add this panel onto the dark blue cardstock. Now I'll flip that piece over and trim off those 2 tips of the star. And since there's several layers, it was a little harder to cut through all of those. I'll put my card front onto a card base, and for this card I will leave that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Generally my cardstock layers I add an additional 1/8 of an inch. So that background piece, that wood piece with the stars, is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. To finish up the card, I put a few of the gem stickers that are included in the kit. For card design number 9, I'm using a pierced snowflake die from Honeybee Stamps to add this beautiful detail to the background. I think it looks really pretty on the bouquet pattern paper. I'll layer this panel on some white pearlescent cardstock. I did put a little extra ATG tape on the back simply because it has all that pierced detail on the front. And then I'll layer this panel on some of the silver satin mirror cardstock. Put my card front onto a card base. For the image on this card, I'll be using another favorite decoupage piece. It's this dark blue snowflake. And I love how all the little tips are separate, so you can really add some fun dimension. And I'll be using all of the layers that were included. I believe there are 8 sheets of decoupage, and on many of the sheets there's 2 different images, and I think on one there's even 3. I'll just start layering all of these pieces together. And one thing to note on the snowflake, it does not work the same any direction. So you do need to make sure to line everything up correctly. And I did speed this portion up quite a bit as I'm adding all those layers. For the sentiment on the card, I'm using another decoupage piece. So this one has 2 different pieces. There's the background, it has that silver glitter frame. And then the second piece is basically the same, it just doesn't have that silver frame. Just popped that up and adhere the 2 together. To give that sentiment something to sit on, I'm adding a white straight peel off across the lower portion of the card. I could use a full strip and just go all the way across, but I decided to use some of the small scraps that I have on my sheet. And you won't see that little gap there in the center since the sentiment will cover it up. I'll just glue down my sentiment. I'll put liquid adhesive on the back of the snowflake and adhere it above the sentiment. Trying to decide which direction to put the snowflake. And since I have all of those layers, I figured a little extra dimension wouldn't hurt. Thought about using the foam snowflakes. They have a little piece in the center, but I didn't like the white color with the background. So instead I'll be using the silver glitter gem stickers that are included in the kit. Put 2 of them in the upper right hand corner and 1 off to the left of the snowflake. So there's my finished card. I really like how this one turned out. It's one of my favorites. Now moving on to card design number 10, and this is my final card design. The kit includes a bag of these interesting pom-poms. They have little silver tinsel pieces coming out of them, and I really wanted to find a way to feature some on my card. The kit also includes 2 silver star charms, and I'll be using both of those. I'm tying the stars to some embroidery floss. I separated the floss so there's 3 threads for all of these pieces. For the pom-pom, I tied, I think 4 or 5 knots to the bottom of this embroidery floss. Just put a needle through the center of that pom-pom. So now it'll be hanging off of that thread. And the large knot should help so the pom-pom doesn't slip off of the thread. So I have 3 of the pom-poms, 2 of the stars. Trying to put them at different lengths. I don't want them all at the same. I'm just trimming off the very top of the thread. I'll be attaching them behind this snowflake die cut piece that's included in the kit. Now I've already put some foam dimension on the back of the snowflake. I'll tie a knot through that circle cutout at the top of that snowflake tag. I do need to adjust it since I had all of those pieces hanging way too low on my card. So lots of fiddling with trying to get everything adjusted just right here. So I am tying a double knot. I have quite a few layers of thread. But I also want to trim down that extra thread so it's not sticking out. Once I have everything in a good position for the card, I'll remove some of the release paper from the foam. I'm putting some double-sided tape on the back, just holding some of those threads in place. I'll also add some liquid adhesive to the knot just to make sure that isn't going to come undone. I'm using some of the washi tape that's included in the kit. This has Merry Christmas and some little stars. Just putting it across the lower portion of the card. For some extra contrast and separation between the pattern paper and that washi tape sentiment, I'll add some white peel-offs, and these are the pinstripe style instead of the straight, so they're not quite as wide as the straight design. I'll just wrap those ends around the back, And I did the same with the washi tape. The little bit extra, I just wrapped it around that panel. That'll make sure it won't come off later. I'll layer this panel on some dark blue cardstock and put my card front onto a card base. And I will have that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I've also cut out a stitch circle die cut, used some of the white pearlescent cardstock, and that's where my snowflake will be attached. I'll remove the rest of the release paper from the foam dimension, then I can attach my snowflake. So now I'm just trying to hold up all those little pom-poms and stars so they're dangling from the lower portion of the snowflake. We'll also trim some of that white thread from the bottom of those pom-poms. Now later I did put a small glue dot underneath the 2 stars just to keep those in place. In the center of the snowflake, I'm adding one of the glitter foam snowflake stickers, and there's a little centerpiece so you can use that as an embellishment. I decided not to use it though. And those foam pieces are super sticky. In the very center of the snowflake, I'm adding one of the silver glitter gem stickers. And there is my finished card. This was really fun to make. I wasn't sure what to do with those little pom-poms. What would you do with the pom-poms? Love to know some other ideas since I still have several of them left from the kit. Now here's another look at the 12 cards I made using Love from Lizi's Twilight Christmas Special Edition Christmas Kit. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit is still available. I will have links provided in the description box if you are interested in this kit or the North Pole kit, and I will link both of those below. The North Pole kit has a fun, whimsical theme with Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the elves. Both kits are packed full of products. I still have decoupage, pattern paper, and embellishments. And if you're interested in another Christmas kit, the November monthly kit called Oh Santa is still available. And I will link to that in the description box as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.